Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Where's my video? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
What's going on with my video?
Hmm.
You know what it is? I sent you a hip hop authorization form.
Guys, let me exit out and come back in. Something's going on with my video.
No worries, Miss Joe. We'll be here.
Okay. Alrighty, I'm here. Sorry,
Hey,
I don't know what was going on this morning. It wouldn't let me in. I'm like, I gotta be here so y'all can see me.
Mercury is about to be in retrograde. It's something like that. Something's happening. Exactly. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Alrighty, let's roll.
I like
Good morning,
it.
everyone. My apologies for being late, but glad everybody's here. Um, Ron, I'll let you kick us off.
Sweet. So, welcome to the home buying seminar. Nichelle and I host these monthly to help give back to the community and make sure that people are aware of what's going on in the markets so that they can make informed decision and feel comfortable and confident every step of the way. And here's what we're going to be covering today on our seminar. At the end, as you can see, we're going to have a Q&A session. So the first part, Nichelle and I are just going to go through, give an overview of who we are, what we do, what's the process of choosing a realtor and a lender. Nichelle's going to review her process. I'm going to give a brief overview of my process. Nichelle and I are going to bust some myths together for you. And then we're going to show you some real monthly payments and funds to close, finishing up with the Q&A section at the end. And so let's go ahead and kick it off, who we are and what we do, and a little bit about myself. My name is Ron Toy. I'm a senior mortgage loan officer. I've been doing this now about 12 years. I've helped over 2,000 families with their home investment journey. I help counsel people in their decision, show them the different loan products that are available, make sure it aligns with your current and long-term financial goals. I expedite the process by doing a full review of your file, complete underwrite so that when you are making offers, all you're having to concern yourself with is the property. I answer questions throughout the process, and it's not just about getting you to the door, it's getting you to your last door. And so, what my catchphrase or kind of tagline is, I guide people along the path of successful home ownership when others simply showed them to a door. And what that looks like is the follow up after closing, reminding you about filing exemptions, following up about contesting values, making sure that we're watching the markets for you to make sure when it makes sense to refinance and lower rates and just again manage your equity position. So some of my value adds, and now I'll kick it back to Nichelle so she can tell a little bit more about who she is.
Hi, and you guys have worked with me for a while, but I will pretend that this is for the masses because this will be going out to our groups on social media. And that is, I'm Nichelle Boylan, GRIABR Realtor. For me, my goal is about building generational wealth, educating my folks, and it's rooted in a couple of key principles, and that's mentorship, education, and generational wealth building. And throughout this conversation, you're going to hear a lot of conversations about generational wealth building because that really is me and Ron's ultimate goal. The secret to success, the secret to growth and wealth, if you look at any of your most wealthiest individuals, it's going to be real estate. And once I realized that when I was looking to purchase my own home, and I was looking at corporate America, I made a decision to devote my life, what was left of my life, to helping people, specifically, in all honesty, more people that look a lot like me, Black and Brown people, um, get generational wealth so that we can change the lives, not just our lives, but our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives after that. And
Absolutely.
then my biggest thing is for me is that I'm going to go into the process of helping you finding your home. And I'm really big about protecting your rights and making sure we're doing all the things that we need to do to protect your investment. And Ron and I'll talk about this, not just your investment today, but your investment in the future and beyond, because we're not the people that are just trying to get you into that house today. We want to get you in every single house. And I will add something to Ron and say, everyone you know, we want to be the source of truth and source of knowledge for them. But to do that, we have to give you exemplary service so that you want to trust us to bring the people that you love and trust most in your life into our hands and into our care. And most importantly, I actually have a degree in negotiations, and I've leveraged that very big for my clients. And then I think Ron's going to take me into my process.
Yes, that's the next step. So
Oh,
it's going
that's
to be a
after
little
this
bit
one.
more about that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about choosing your realtor and
Mhm.
what's important about choosing your realtor or real estate agent because, and I guess I should point out, a real estate agent and a realtor are not the same. So choosing your real estate agent and a realtor. A realtor is someone who is going above the step of being a real estate agent. To be a real estate agent in the state of Texas, you simply have to take your, I think it's 180 classes, hours, sit for the exams, two exams, and you move forward. As being a part of a realtor, the National Association of Realtors, we are held to a higher degree. We are held to a higher level of professionalism, similar to a lawyer or a doctor. My fiduciary duty, while we both have the same, there's a different level of it when you come to becoming a realtor. Why you want to think about who you're choosing is you want to make sure that they serve your area. And when we say serve your area, on our side of the line, what you hear a lot of is geographical competency. The reason why that is so essential to you is you want to make sure you're working with a realtor that knows about the area that you're in. The last thing you want to do is work with someone who doesn't know that there's a road coming in or doesn't know that you're in an EJT, which is known as an extrajudicial territory, that may one day annex you in and increase your property taxes. All those things are just one of the reasons why our value comes into play is because we make sure that we're looking at those things so we can educate you to be a parent. Because the goal of your realtor is not to eliminate pitfalls, is to mitigate pitfalls. There are going to be some things that come up, but our goal is to help you mitigate those and prepared for those when they come into play. Because the easiest way to get over a surprise is to already be prepared for the surprise you know that's coming down the line. And so that's kind of the key there. The other thing is it's about what type of properties do they work on. And why that's essential is if you're looking for someone who has never worked in a townhome, who has never done a condo, who's never done any investment properties, and you're working with that individuals and you're a no voice in that area, then you're going to actually be leaning on someone who doesn't have the knowledge to protect your interests. And so you want to make sure you're there. One of my biggest thing is what does your team look like? And me and Ron talk about this a lot. We have our preferred people that we like to work with. Now, we don't exclude anybody that you want to bring to the table, but we have our preferred because they have proven to us that we can rely on them. And that's essential because in this thing, reputation is key for our business. It's how we develop and how we are able to stay in this bit of longevity so that we can be there with you from the first house to the last house. And so when we partner with people, we're partnering with lenders that we know we can trust that can do certain things. We're partnering with in-home inspectors that's going to catch things and not just let stuff slide under the curb just so that they can get you into the house. We have our title companies. We want to make sure that they're doing their due diligence to make sure that you don't move into your home. And I've had this happen to my seller who's been living in their home for 10 years. Lo and behold, the title company missed a lien. And so now the seller who is not their lien has have to pay an extra $3,500 on something that isn't theirs. So those are things that your realtor is going to work to make sure that you're working with people who, above all, are competent. But most importantly, who match the vibe that your realtor has and understands what the goals are. And then you want to make sure that they're communicating with you. I have a philosophy, and that is I do my very best to make sure my clients are never calling me or never texting me or never emailing me. 9 times out of 10, and I think my clients that are on this call now will attest, I will be reaching out to them when they're thinking about calling me. Call it Six Sense, call it ESP, call it whatever you want to. But I have an ability that I try and make sure that I'm staying in contact with my customers on clients on a regular basis so that they're never having to reach out to me to know where we are in the process. I'm always remembering, and because I don't have the best brain at times, and there's so much in it, everything goes into my phone, which you may not be able to see. Um, but I actually counter those things so that I'm making sure I'm communicating on a regular basis with you. And so you're never missing a beat at any given time. And then most important it is, will they work together with your loan officer on your behalf? And that is essential because I can't tell you how many times at 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday night I've reached out to Ron because we're closing tomorrow and I've got somebody on the other side going crazy. And if I don't have someone's competent, who's a guru, who's a master at their craft, the deal can fall through. But having someone that has some tools in their bag is very essential in this role because I can promise you, no matter how good the deal is, there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens. But the reason why I have more gray hairs and Ron may have less is because we do all that ourselves and you guys really don't see it. So when you walk away and say it was smooth, when you get through, you go home, you got your house, we're like, oh, Jesus. Because there's so much that happened in the background.
Yes. Facts.
But the goal is you don't feel it. That's
Yep.
really the key. Our goal is to make sure, because Ron and I will say this, and I know this isn't the only time, buying a home is one of the most stressful things you will ever do. Buying a home, selling a home is one of the most stressful things you will ever do. And in order to do this process, you have to divulge. And if you're like me, you're a very private person, but you have to divulge so much of your private life because you have other people helping you that you want to make sure you're working with someone not only that you can trust, but that understand is hearing what you're saying without you saying it sometime. And I think that's the key. And that's how, if I was picking a real estate agent or a realtor, that's what I would look at. And Ron is going to talk about
Absolutely.
how do you choose a lender.
Yes, and this is another reason why Nichelle is such an amazing industry leader. Is her passion for what she does and compassion for the clients that she serves, and understanding about the business as a whole, because there's more that goes into being a realtor, real estate agent than just passing a test. And similarly as a lender, there's certain questions you're going to want to ask when you're interviewing a lender to make sure that you understand where their competency lies and also their impact in community. And so you want to look at um, can they provide the programs that best fit your financial needs? And what that looks like is are they a banker or a broker? Because a banker is somebody that typically is inside of a lending institution like Bank of America, Chase, and they can only lend their products. A broker is somebody that brokers out your loans, or are they a mixture of both? And so there's several different styles of lender. Whatever works best for you is important to understand. If you're perfect, got 30% down, tons of money in the bank, lots of relationship, buying a primary, whatever your unique situation is, maybe it makes sense to go to a depository. But if you don't have somebody that's willing to tell you and walk you through this process, then you're just going to be, in essence, left to your own devices. And that's where things get a little bit dicey. And then you want to ask questions. How long have you been in the business? Now, somebody could be in the business 20 years and still be on year one of their 20-year journey, where some people could be in their 5 years, whatever. That's just the opening of the door. Okay, what is your impact that you've had in that time period? What are your peers saying about you? Are you winning awards? Are you training loan officers? Are you training businesses? Are you attending events that you are the primary focus of those events? That's an important question to ask. What's your impact in your own community? Will they consistently communicate with you and all parties involved? Nichelle hinted at this, and it is some parts stressful, but that's what when you have a competent team on your hand, we handle it because on average, there's between 8 and 10 companies and 32 to 40 people involved in every single closing, from title companies to inspectors to appraisers to underwriters, processors, the document companies, the notaries. It's a lot. And Nichelle and my job is to manage and corral cats and then disseminate information to you so that you consistently feel comfortable and confident every step of the way. The other part when choosing a lender is will they close your loan in a timely manner? That kind of ties into the above bullet points. And what that looks like is the communication, the process. Do they ship it out to other parts of the country or do they manage it step by step? Are they competent? Are they here in the state you're looking to buy in? Because every state has unique situations. Every state has unique guidelines. Texas is a unique animal. It's a community property state with homestead rules, and the Texas 50A6 rules from the state, from our capital in Austin. That is a unique challenge. And if it's a online 123 discount lender who doesn't know anything about it, but they're a customer service agent, that's going to lead you into a heartache situation down the road. And so when you interview them, talk to them, get to know them. Because again, with this being in the top 5 stressful things, and you mentioned it just a second ago, you're buying and selling a home at the same time. Why it's so stressful is it is exposing us to moments of lack of control, which then converts into cortisol and it activates our fight or flight mechanism. And that's why couples usually end up having some friction during the process if they're not communicating and if they don't feel safe. They're going to start to protect themselves and they're going to start to lash out in ways. Maybe it's not super toxic, but it can be stressful. But when you have a team and you can send those questions at 11 o'clock at night when you're laying in bed, like, hey, Ron, what is this and this and this? I had some questions. Can you answer it? Now you can go to sleep peacefully and have people that are informed in how stressful this can be so they can help calm those things and validate the feelings. Because, like Nichelle said, we're looking at bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs, histories. That's exposing. That is something that is intimidating. We want to validate your feelings, but also, we've seen everything. There's no surprises here. And what we've seen, heard, and experienced might shock some people, but that's what we do to make sure that our clients are building long-term generational wealth and not getting tricked and fooled by the media that's pushing fear instead of empowering people. We're going to go into that more in here in a second. But the next step is Michelle's going to do a brief overview of what it looks like. Because if you know what's coming, it's not as intimidating. So just a brief overview of the process. Okay, this is just the next step in the process. Instead of like, ooh, there's another thing, there's another thing. Nah, you get to expect it. And now Michelle's going to go into her process, and then I'll go into mine.
And so the process is fairly simple. The first step and one and two can be interchangeable. It just depends on how you come to us. But if you come through me first, the first step is meeting me. And in that meeting, we call it our buyer strategy session. That session, I'm going to understand your needs, your wants, your desires, your lifestyle, what it is you like to do, what areas you want to be in. If you like to golf, we want to have you around a golf course. If you're an active person and you want to be around a lake, we want to see if you're within 10, 15 minutes of a lake. Once we've identified your needs, your have to, your non-negotiables, we are going to move you on to Ron and or another lender. If you come with your own lender, that's fine. We never push a lender on you. You have the choice to choose any of these people throughout this process. Um, but if you do choose Ron, then we'll send you over to Ron. And once Ron gives you what we call your driver's license, once you have a license to drive, which is also known as your pre-approval, we will start looking for homes. I'll set you up on our portal is Real Scout. And once you go through Real Scout, you'll pick up to 2 to 3 properties that you're interested in, that if they met every criteria that you were looking for, you could put an offer in it on it today, and we'll go take a look at those properties. If what we look in pictures matches what we see in persons and we do move forward with an offer, I'll write that offer up based off of market analysis and what homes have sold for in the last 90 to 120 days, depending on market. Higher end properties, we typically have to expand that range up to 180 days because they don't sell as frequent as homes that are $300,000 and $400,000. But whenever we have that market number, I'll give you a range. And then depending on whatever our strategy is, you and I will work as a partner to present that so that it presents in such a way that it is a win-win for all parties. And then if it's accepted, we have up to 3 days after that contract is accepted to get your earnest money in. Earnest money is 1% on pre-owned, typically in most cases, up to about $10,000 in new construction. That seems to be the norm that they're going with on the last 4 or 5 that I've seen. So I think they've kind of gotten together, although we're not going to talk about any Sherman Law acts or anything. But I think they've gotten together and kind of decided that, and if anyone wants to know what the Sherman Act is, it's collusion. And it's forbidden. But I noticed all the builders have gone to $10,000. Having said that, once you've put down your earnest money and your option money, because in the state of Texas, you do have a due diligence period, but unlike other states, you have to pay for it here. Right now, it's running about 100 to 250, depending on what it is we're trying to do. If you're going to be under contract and need an option period of under 5 to 7 days, we can probably get away with 100, 150. If we want to extend that option period, and I have it on occasion where we're going 10 or 15 days, then we may move that up to 500, 750, just so that the seller understands we're still interested in the property. Because what the option period does is it removes it from the market, but it allows you to have an interest in the home because you've now put option and earnest money down, and then you do your due diligence through your inspections. And I want you to put your option and earnest money down on the first 24 hours because I want that inspection is no later than 48 hours after we go under contract. And the reason why I want it no later than 48 hours is because one, my project manager brain knows efficiency, but more importantly, I also know that an inspection may uncover things that an inspector cannot look at. We may need a roofer to come out. We may need a foundation expert to come out. We may even need a plumbing inspection. We may need an electrical inspection. If we need any, we need a pool inspection. If we need any of those, we're on other people's schedule. And if we wait until the last day or the day before the last day, they may not be able to get out there on our timetable to assess the damage. And so I want to put us in the best position so that by the time we get through options, we're cruising. You're not doing anything. We'll talk about that when we get over to step 7 and 8 in a minute, but we're really literally cruising. And then once we've gone on the contract, once we've got option, once we've done the inspections, we have repairs. I'll read that in just a second. We have repairs. And then once we have repairs done, we'll negotiate repairs. Some repairs will negotiate for cash. Some repairs will negotiate for them to fix it. Things that have, as I say, more risk to them are items that we are going to want them to fix themselves. Like if it's a foundation issue, we're going to want the seller to fix that. And the main reason we're going to want them to fix it is because with foundation, once it shifts, plumbing may fail. We may have to do some cosmetic issues with roofs and so forth. And so if we take, let's just say we take $3,000, that may end up being a $10,000 project. So we're going to leave that to the seller because that was their property. Then once we got through all of that, we're going to move into step 7. Step 7 is going to be you getting your homeowner's insurance. Now, you're not going to pay for that insurance. You're simply going to call one or two insurers. I recommend you call whoever you have your car with. I can promise you that Judge Fight is also going to reach out to you. And sometimes they have great plans, sometimes they don't. But you're going to go with whatever plan works best for you. And then you're going to give that declaration page to over here to my friend Ron. And then once Ron has it, Ron is going to take that and he's going to put it as part of your cash to close because you will prepay, I believe it's 14 months. I know for a fact you'll pay a year and then I believe it's like 2 months with it, but you'll prepay that as part of your closing costs. So you won't pay it up front. You'll just need to make sure you know your closing date and the address. And they'll do what's known as a Q report for you. I think Ron is okay. The option
Yeah, I would
meaning
just let them know I'll do it at the
you
end.
got it. Okay. And then so we'll move over to step 8. Step 8 is going to be where you're going to start scheduling your utilities and doing all those other things, getting your, and our concierge service will help you with that. The only thing I don't think they can help with is water and sewer, but it's pretty much electricity, cable, security, all of that. They can have that already set up for you day one, so you don't have to make all those calls. And so that's one of the benefits that you have of working with us and my team. Then we'll move into step 9, where we'll walk through the loan approval process with your lender and underwriting. We'll do your final approval. And Ron can talk about that's where your application actually becomes official complete. And that's not until we found the house. So like you've got your pre-approval, but there's two parts to an approval, which that's not my lane. So I'll leave that to Ron. And then so then we get to step 11. And so you have your buyer's agents, you have your buyer and your seller. They're going to sign the documents. Now here's where it's key. Ron alluded to this. Whenever I'm the seller, I always ask the buyer's agent, how does your lender close? And why that is essential is I need to know if they're table funding or if they have a delay. Ron does table funding, and table funding is key because I've seen people that take up to 72 hours after they receive documents to disperse those funds. And in our contracts, it says possession is closing funding. Funding is when the lender authorizes the release of funds. If that is a 72-hour delay, then that's 72 hours before you take possession of your home. And so that's the main reason and it's the same thing I ask my buyers when they don't go with my lender and I don't know is what is that process like? Because we have to plan for that. If we're going to have a 72-hour delay, then we need to make sure that you have a place to go for 3 days and not have a last minute mix up, which I've had happen. I've been in the cellar and had a buyer agents who didn't maximize that correctly, and they ended up having to pay for them like I think it was a 3-day Airbnb stay because they'd already moved out their apartment. You don't want to be that person. And so those are the reasons why we do all this up front. So that's not something we're even concerned about. But once you get that disbursement, and disbursement is different, and once you get funding, and I want to make this key, and this is something I'm going to say because this will be going out online. There's a difference between funding and disbursement. Funding simply means it has been authorized by the lender. The minute that happens, title documents are being recorded, that home has changed hands. Disbursement means that the rest of us are getting paid off of that funding. Disbursement does not mean you cannot move into your home. And so if there's any confusion about that, you have the right, once it has been dispersed, to go in and change the locks if you choose to do so, because that is your home.
Yep.
And I just want to put that out there because I've been on social media a lot lately, and there's some confusion about that. And I've had a lot of people going 4 or 5 days after they've paid all this money that they can't move into their home because we have, unfortunately, some uneducated folks out there who haven't been able to identify what dispersed and funding mean. And then now Ron's going to talk about his process, which kind of maps mine.
Yep. And that's where having that team is so important. Again, with one of the stressful things you do, it's good to have people that have done this several times over and over so we get almost speaking each other's language and know the expectation because we are team members. But who you use for your home financing is up to you. But that's why Nichelle usually does an introduction because it's good to have an extra set of eyes on it. And she knows my heart is even if I'm not working with you on this transaction, I am going to earn your respect and trust to be able to be the person that you probably go to for your next one or that you trust to send your referrals to. And part of that is my process because our first call, I call that the B1 call, borrower one. That's where we're getting to know each other. Typically, it's a call or a Zoom, 15, 30 minutes, just as an introduction to give my clients a way to ask questions, to get feedback, to get to know me as a person, to make sure they want to work with me. And so that's the first initial step. From there, I'll send a recap with my application link so that you can get that completed. And then we'll do an application review meeting to where we go over everything, make sure it's perfect, dialed in. I let you know what documents we're going to look at and need. And do a document request because in essence usually step 2 and 3 can happen simultaneously because I'm putting together a game plan for your purchase. Do you know what to expect? Again, I'm requesting documents. Once those documents come in, then I'm going to submit the full file to underwriting to get you a true fully pre-approved file. We'll do a B3 call, and that's the third big meeting step for us before you start going out and shopping. And so, because I want to make sure that you are empowered as a consumer to go out there and be able to compete with cash, because we have our keys on time guarantee if you need it, to where if we don't close on time for something the lender missed, we'll pay the seller up to $2,500 out of our pocket to make sure that the seller knows we're serious. And so that's why we go through this process to make sure that you're out there competing with cash and we can close in 10 to 14 days if it's needed to win an offer. Because back a few years ago, when homes were going 50, 100,000 over list, sometimes we would beat those offers out because we could close in 10 days. And so that's where that's empowerment. But once you start shopping, you're going to go out there and you're going to start looking at homes with Nichelle. You got your keys to drive, you're out there doing your thing, and then you get under contract. That's where Nichelle hinted at like the application, it's just a different turn of phrase. So there's the application and then there's a RESPA app. What the RESPA app or the one that instigates or requires initial disclosures is when you have all 6 pieces of an application, which means the property is pretty much the final piece. We send out the initial disclosures. There's usually 4 rounds of disclosures throughout the process. And so this is why I like to tell you a little bit up front so you know what to expect. Because on the initial round of disclosures, we don't have your homeowner's insurance quote. We don't have the title policy yet. We don't have the third party fees. We don't know if it's going to need a reinspection. So we have to overestimate on a lot of those things because unlike the car business where you get into the financing office and they start adding on a bunch of stuff, here, if we don't disclose something, we have to eat it. And that means the lenders have to cover that. So that's why we have to go a little bit high and then come down on each step of the phase so that by the time you're at the final closing disclosure, it is those accurate perfect, well-balanced numbers with title because there's different phases. So that's also why I like for clients to get their homeowner's insurance quote as early as possible. They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to get it activated. But that clue report is key because it can show you if the sellers or if the property ever had a claim. Because in Texas, properties, the insurance follows the property. And so if there's been a claim on the property that wasn't disclosed in the seller's disclosure, it could have been an innocent miss, but now you might be able to go back and negotiate because the realtor is going to negotiate on behalf up front when you get under contract. But don't forget you got several phases throughout the contract process to negotiate again. One of those when you get inspection report in and clue reports. But you get those third parties in, that's called third party. That's one of the 8 to 10 companies we got to deal with is the company, then their reps, get those quotes in. Send it to me. Then I send that package in to my processor. His name is Weston. He's amazing. And he does everything. He's like the guy between us and underwriting. And so I manage the process, but I have a team to help me stay on track so that I'm constantly taking care of the new people that come in. My processor takes care of the contract, handles the communication between underwriting and the clients, and I oversee it. We get everything balanced. We send out another disclosure. That's your initial closing disclosure. That's the third round. Now we're getting numbers more dialed in because we got your homeowner's insurance. We've got the appraisal report in. We've got the title policy in. And then once that's been issued clear to close, we get the docs back. We send it to title to start doing the balancing with them so we can issue your final closing disclosure and then set you up for closing and funding. And Nichelle hinted at that earlier that we table fund. So what that means is by the time you're walking into the title office and on closing, the funds are already sitting there. So all we're waiting on is for the signed documents to come back so we can review and then we issue funding authorization. So usually funding authorization is issued before you even leave the title company because while you're sitting there waiting, they're going back and making copies and sending the package over to us. As soon as we see it, it'll get done. Sometimes it takes an hour or two, just depends on how fast or if the seller signed before you or after. But that's all that like those are some of the steps and processes on my end so you can see it from a big picture like a 10,000 foot overview. Now yes, we could hyperscope this in like a sniper and really detail each step, but if you understand the overall picture that you have a team that's in place that's going to make sure that you have great contractors, so if something comes up you're not afraid, you have a contingency. If something pops on an inspection, Nichelle has tons of people that she's worked with for years that she can say, okay, let's get this roofer in, let's get this plumber in, let's get these people in to make sure that you're making a sound investment and that you're not going to be looking back because she also mentioned this. She has a duty of competence, but that looks like what that is called is her fiduciary responsibility. It's one of the pivotal things in her license. And that means she has to protect your money. She has to protect your interest. She has to inform you. She has to keep you taken care of. And that's why they have signed buyer's rep agreements and all these other things. Same thing with myself. We value our license. It's what helps us feed our families. So we're going to do everything we can to protect you because in doing that, it protects us. So at funding, you get your keys, you're happy, and the journey continues past that, but that's for another seminar. This one is getting in to starting to build those long-term generational wealth because this seminar really is to help everyone watching, whether it's going to be in the future online, the people that are in attendance, so that we can move the conversation from what is meant to control us because of the media, from focusing on rate to payment, focusing on shifting it from shopping to strategy and from fear to control. Because if we can get you out of that emotional fear state and into an empowered, informed consumer state, now you're making decisions that align with your current and long-term goals and that are prudent and suitable for your financial picture instead of reactionary because you think it's the right thing to do or you think feels like it. Let's get you in control and making decisions because this is the key. When you go on YouTube or you hear the media, we have to understand that the media sells based on engagement. And one of the easiest ways to get engagement is through fear. Fear moves us from along an emotional state line to where we are no longer at our full cognitive capacity. Because as you move down the progression from a calm state to a fear state, IQ reduces, our ability to make sound decision reduces, and now we are easily manipulated. And so when you go on YouTube, you see these salacious, the boom is over, everybody looks terrified, everything is destroyed, right? Everything's focused on the rates are too high, houses are too high, whatever the conversation is. And that's why we wanted to break some myths, right? So part of that is interest rates. This is public information. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this shows you the rates from the 70s through current. In the 80s, interest rates were near 20% for prime rates. But if you look at the graph, average interest rate was between 7 and 8% for the last 40 plus years. Right now, we're sitting in the mid to low sixes, which ideally is not as close as or as low it was a few years ago, but it surely isn't 20%. And that's the part where we have to watch the market, because you don't want to time the market. You want to spend time in the market, because the next slide's really going to blow people's minds. And I love touching on this because it shows about how generational wealth is created through homeownership. Keep in mind, I'm going to ask a question, save it for later. What do you think home prices did when interest rates were near 20%? Do you think they dropped or do you think they went up? Let's go look. This sucker right here shows you the home price appreciation for the last 84 years. This is why I'm passionate about this, because people keep falling farther and farther behind because they're sold fear. This is right from Case-Shiller, which is public information. In the 80s, when interest rates were 20% for prime rates, home prices appreciated 7%, 5%, 1%, 5%, 5%, 7%. Why? Because it's stable. They're not making any more land. It is why home ownership is so important, because if you have an output of money, because you got to live somewhere, if you're paying rent, you're paying a mortgage, it's not your own. So people have a flight to quality, and they're going to put their money in housing. And that's why properties appreciate. Most people focus on the time period between 2007 through 2011. That's the most recent pain point, because every other year outside of 1990, prices went up or were flat. But in 1990, sorry, they did go down 1%. But look at all the depreciation prior. But they focus on this period. And they think it's some magical, mystical thing that nobody could have ever foreseen. That's also false, because if we look at data and take the emotion out of it, we could have seen this coming. Ray Charles is it could have seen this thing coming. And because if you look at population in the 70s, in the baby boomer generation, 76 million people were born. Generation X, 55 million. So if you have a reduction of population by 20 million people, that's going to mean there's less people born to then have ability to purchase. But that should make you think, okay, if there's less people, that should increase demand. Well, are people overbuilt? Because down here on this bottom graph, you have completions versus formations. Completions are in orange. What that means is homes being built. So if you take out 33 years, which is the average age of a home buyer, and you move it out that forward, that's 2006. Guess what? We had the most homes ever built in history, and we had a housing formation drop. And it continued every year. We were negative. Completions outpaced formations. This isn't magic. This isn't rocket science. It's basic numbers, and it's public data right on Case-Shiller and the BLS website, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. But guess what started happening in 2014 and on? Housing formations have outpaced completions, meaning this is all flipped. It's why homes have appreciated so quickly, because now we have more people competing against limited inventory. But this doesn't even factor in the fact that corporations and large investors have been buying up inventory at 40% in some areas. So like private equity firms, those big companies that are buying up first-time homebuyer type properties, this doesn't factor in that impact to supply. This is just showing you this in general. So that's why we're seeing homes going up and also being harder to purchase. And that's why times like this, where there is a little bit more inventory, it makes sense to buy, because rent is a cost, right? And I went on apartments.com. I'm going to keep it simple. And I went in average monthly rent in Dallas. So we see it across the board. The top part is apartments, the bottom part is houses. So studio, 3 bedroom house. The average property being rented is a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom apartment or house. So you can see it across the board, right? Why this is important? When you rent, typically you got to put your first month, your last month, security deposit, sometimes pet deposits. But I went with easy math. First month, last month, $1,000 deposit. That's 6 grand, right? Put a pin in that. $6,000 to rent, right? 'Cause some people think, oh, I need $20,000. Remember, we're myth busting? I need 20% down. I need 40, 50 grand in the bank. Mm-mm. Michelle and I do this all day, every day, and we've helped several clients, and some of them get a check back at closing. You're like, Ron, how do you get a check back at closing? We're about to walk you through that because here are real payments on properties. There's a program here in Texas called T-Shack, and that's a down payment assistance program. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer either. They give up to 5% of the total loan amount to help cover cash to close. And most of them are set up on a 3-year forgivable second lien. What that means is there's no interest, no payment. As long as you stay in the home 3 years, the funds are completely forgiven. And so, um, Nichelle, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out
Mhm.
one of the reasons that I literally that gravitated me towards Ron because I like efficiency and I liked reliance is that every last one of my clients, the first time I sent him a client, he sent them this. And I never had a lender do that before. And this is just a snapshot for you. But once you see the whole thing, it actually breaks down not just the monthly payment, but it breaks down your projected net worth in 5 years after you've been making your payments and everything else. And he gives you different scenarios. And
Yep.
before he switched to the next page, which I believe is what he's getting ready to do, is if you look at the cash to close amount, which I think he just
Mhm.
said, that amount includes does not include any earnest money you've paid,
Bingo.
does not include any option money that you've paid. Um, it doesn't even include the appraisal that if you're on this call, you get back.
Correct.
And doesn't and don't pay.
Yep.
And while I want that to be essential is because he's effective. Run, what is the price of this house? This is what a
So it goes
300,000
from
here.
300 up to 400,000.
So 300 to 400,000. So he's basically letting you know that before, and this is, it blew my mind the first time I saw this. And the reason why I'm sticking on this is because I don't think people realize what we're looking at here. He delivers this to you, and when you get it, he's telling you what your loan amount is going to be if we find a home that's $300,000. What your loan amount is going to be if we find a home that's $400,000 before we even have the house. Yeah, the numbers are going to move up and down 2 to 3%, but this is actually your finance to close amount. But most importantly, this cash to close. And Ron hinted at how successful I've been since he's given me this tool.
Yep.
Because what this tool tells me is that on a $300,000 homes, my clients need $6,000.87. On a $400,000, my clients need $400. And if I can get a seller to contribute that or more, my client is getting cash back at close that they can use to buy furniture. They can use to help with moving expenses. They can use to help with some of those deposits if you have to transfer deposits. And I think that's the game changer because on average, for the last 12 months, run, what is it? I've been averaging about $10,000 each
Yeah,
seller
about 10 to
concession.
11 grand.
$11,000 each seller concession.
Yep.
And that's because I have this tool. So I know going in what we need to help you financially.
Yep. And she
Sorry,
hits
not to
it.
interject, Ron, but I just wanted
No,
to
I
get
love it.
that.
This is collaborative because it shows a team. Because the better I do, the better I tee up the ball for Nichelle to go in to negotiate, the easier it is for her to knock it out the park. And so I show this without, like she had mentioned, earnest, option, appraisal, one, because those are what's called POC, paid outside of closing. So until you're under contract, those aren't paid yet. So I don't want that to be reduced from your cash to close. So this shows you start to finish what your expected number is. But that, like she had mentioned, if she gets a seller concession for that amount, you get back your earnest option and appraisal money. Because with the down payment assistance programs, you're allowed to get back your POC costs, your paid outside of closing. So if I show her this, it goes into the offer process super easy because now she knows what she needs when she's going in. And that's also why I mentioned it's important to earlier, not to try to time the market, spend time in the market. Because right now, there are seller concessions. A few years ago, there were no seller concessions. There were no sellers paying title policy. There were no sellers, giving seller credits back. It just didn't happen as often as it is now. So while interest rates are a little bit higher than they were 2 years ago or 4 years ago, people were paying 100 grand over list. And now those people are sitting in a situation where like, well, I paid 700 for this house that really should be worth 600, and they're trying to sell it, and they're in a spot where they don't want to have to reduce the amount. But that's because it was artificially inflated because we had a crazy amount of demand for a short period of time. And so that's where I wanted to show you this and break that myth. You don't need a bunch of money, 6 grand. And that might seem like a lot, but guess what? If you start planning now, and I can walk you through it, I've done this where I showed people how to go to on trash days, get furniture, repurpose the furniture, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and how to properly document that so that it's sourced funds to close. Why? Because I am passionately, internally convicted to make sure people are building generational wealth, because it's another tab I'm going to go into here in a second. But this is how we get your money back. This right here is key. You got to know how much seller concessions are available depending on the program. With FHA, it's 6%, and it's easy. We know this stuff up front. It's not a surprise. None of this is a surprise to anybody if they actually read their guidelines and invest in this like it's their craft. And so, but I like to show people up front. I like to provide stuff to my clients so that it's not just some great and powerful laws behind some curtain yelling at you through a megaphone. It's we're on the same side of the table. I want you educated. Why? Nichelle talked about this earlier. If I do my job to help you feel comfortable and confident, you're no longer just saying, hey, here's my guy's information. You're saying, oh my gosh, you got to use my guy. He did this. He informed me. He walked me through the process. He was doing all these things. And now that person's like, Jesus, if I don't call this guy, I am never going to experience what it's like to work with somebody who cares. But I got to earn that every phone call, every interaction, because your trust matters to me. Showing you behind the curtain is important because that's how we build trust, because there's too many opportunities for, especially in the past, for lenders to do nefarious things and get people in the wrong program because of compensation. And that's what caused the crash of 2007 through 11, horrible lending guidelines and crazy loan officers making stupid money on horrible products like balloon mortgages that are illegal now. And so you know the information. Now we know how much max seller concessions are, because Nichelle has maxed them over, and now then we're at the end like, oh crap, she got too much seller concession. Now we're buying down rate, doing all these things, and it's a good problem to have because that just shows your realtor went to work on your behalf. And this is the other part that's passionate about. When I talk about building wealth, people are like, I'm gonna wait a year to rent and just kind of feel it out, see what happens. They don't understand opportunity cost. And what opportunity cost is what did you not make by renting for a year? Because if you rent a year at the average rent amount of $2,500, you're going to spend $30,300 that year in rent. That means that's money that just gone. Poof, went to nothing. Now, if you buy with the equivalent payment, they might be like, well, Ron, I'm only a small portion goes to principal, so I'm not really doing anything. That's not accurate because they're forgetting about appreciation. The average appreciation rate in North Texas is about 3 to 6% per year. So for this analysis, I did 4%. And that's where you got to look at what is your net worth impact in that year with appreciation and with principal balance reduction. So you got to add the appreciation to the equity to the rent you paid. So your swing in 1 year, you lost $54,000 renting. And that blows people's mind because it's a concept they've never thought about. You didn't get anything in principal balance reduction, and you didn't make appreciation. So you got to add that together. That's what it cost you to rent. And this is why people keep falling farther and farther behind. Like, well, Ron, I don't know what the payments are going to look like. I wanted to provide real closings that I did. This one I closed on June 1st. This lady bought the loan amount was 209,000, 220 grand. She bought a cute little house. So if she's a single lady, first time home buyer, $1,800 a month with taxes and insurance and everything. 6.5% rate. So not 20, not a bajillion, 6.5, $1,800 a month with insurance and taxes, everything. And then here's another one. They bought an adorable house, $2,400 a month, all of it less than renting And we're talking about building generational wealth, 6.25%. And so I've hinted at it, but now I want to show you the numbers. NAR posted this, and it shows in Keeping Current Matters, but you can go anywhere and find out. The average homeowner has a net worth that is 40 times that of a renter. That's across all income levels. So when I know that 2/3 of the wealth in our country is tied to the equity we have in homes, and the average equity position is nearly 350,000, last year was 311. I cannot sleep comfortably knowing that there's people out there who are just they are in a position to buy, but don't because of either fear or misinformation or the fact that nobody's in their community talking to them and encouraging them about their ability to purchase. And so the next part up is we're going to do Q&A, but I want you to simmer on this for a second. Look at this, and this is why we can't keep silent, because there is a concerted effort in our country right now to put a barrier in place for regular people to take back power and build generational wealth through misinformation campaigns. That lines the pockets of corporations buying inventory, and now if they control the inventory, they control the rental amounts. Because, hey, if they got a bunch of properties empty, it's okay. It's just a write-off on their taxes as vacancy. But also they can control the prices. This, we have to take our power back. There's options, there's opportunity, and also ways to build wealth that are safe and secure so that we don't have our stocks and everything else come crumbling down because we've been overbought in different opportunities. You got to have a house because people think I'll buy later, I'll save money and invest in stocks. This is the last piece I'm going to touch on. If you have let's call it $10,000 for easy math, $10,000 to get into a house, right? You buy a $300,000 house, that house goes up 5%, that's $15,000. You invested 10 grand, you made 15,000 that year. That means you made 150% return on your cash on cash investment because you made your money back plus $5,000, 150% return. In index funds, the average rate of return is 10%. So that 10,000 invested in index funds would have netted you 1,000 for the year. Would you rather make 1,000 or 15,000? I like 150% return better than 10. Like I'm in the business. That's why when we break it down like this is why it matters. If you have an output of money, you're paying a mortgage, it's not your own. Let's make it work for you instead of someone else. But yeah, now we'll open it up to questions and answers. I know one of the questions was about option money. And so I'll let Nichelle touch on that.
Yeah, so option money it's money that you get as long as you go through with the process.
Mhm.
If for some odd reason you back out of the process, then that money goes to the seller for removing it from the market because they lost the opportunity for a potential buyer while it was under contract. And that's what it is for.
Yep.
If you don't pay an option period, if you don't pay option money, then you don't have an option, and that there's no exclusive right to terminate because that's one thing you get with an option money is the exclusive right to terminate during that period, which my favorite thing is you can wake up, and I know I've said that to just about everybody on this call. We can go into contract today. You can call me tomorrow and go, Nichelle, little baby Jesus told me this is not the house for me. And I'll send you a form, no questions asked. Well, I'm probably going to ask you why. But then I'm going to send you a form to have you sign it. And we literally turn it in and you get your money back, minus the option period. Um, if you don't have that, then we have other contingencies that we have to look at, like financial contingency, the home itself contingency. So there are other things. I think there are like 41 different ways a buyer can back out of a contract.
Yep.
And that's why it's essential, especially when people start talking about they're going to sell on their own. That gets me, is because there are so many pitfalls to this. I wouldn't want to risk my family livelihoods about being an invoice. It's for me, it's like this. I'm a cancer survivor. And there is no way that I would walk into a doctor's office and go, Doc, I want you to give me a scalpel. I want you to leave the anesthesiology off, and I want you to let me to go in and remove this tumor. That's not my lane. That's not my role. So why would I do anything different with one of the most biggest investments of my life? I want people that work in this market that know the pitfalls. Even if I hadn't done this, I went and looked for a realtor. I find myself fairly knowledgeable, but I even sought out a realtor before I became one to make sure I had my protections in place.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, so who gets the what I'm thinking is the option, and by the way, is one of the things that we don't have here in New York, and I was able to maximize that option money. In terms of the sellers taking it off the market, do they get any compensation, or is it just centralized on a protection for the buyer?
It's a protection for the buyer. The sellers don't get
Okay.
any. The only thing the sellers get the net proceeds if we close. But if we back out, what they were getting, we took away. And so now we have to give them something. And what we give them is the option money. So
That's
they
right.
so they either
Okay.
get net proceeds or they get option money. And as a
Oh,
seller, you can keep your option.
Yeah.
I want that proceeds.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. But it is just now, since we don't have this, and I think it's an amazing option, the option, right?
Yeah.
That actually, because if I'm a seller, because I'm a seller here in New York,
Right.
and if you tell me to go to the market and then 5 days later, I'm giving you the options because I'm hoping that that's my money, you know?
Yep.
That's it. Fair game, fair game. By the way,
Yeah.
I do thank you. I met you guys both. I've worked with you guys, and I love. I'm an old military guy and love high teams, high performance teams. I make them myself, and I cannot describe a most personification
That's awesome.
of a high perform team. And another thing that I want to tag on it is that the seller concession. I wish we have it everywhere.
Hmm.
I wish we have it everywhere. And Michelle and what you just described and truly explained it. It is me as a buyer that I'm hopefully will be buying.
Yes.
That is when I scroll that I learned and Michelle showed me, this thing to look at houses.
Yep.
That is a very attractive thing that has stopped me from scrolling and choose this house instead of that other house.
Yep.
And in New York, we love we don't even term it in the right way. Even Texas, I think, to name it as a price improvement. In here, it's just negative, just price reduction.
Yes.
And
Be real.
and it is the narrative. It just sends the wrong, and now all about narrative is
Yep.
I think I'd rather say that I'm improving it because I want to positively sell it than I'm just
Yeah.
reducing it. But
Yes.
anyway, this was a very informative, and you serving your 30-minute run spiel that you gave us. It's not just it is a mountain of information, but
Yes.
very digestible.
Awesome.
It's explaining how am I going to be in your team. Like, you remember back in those days that computers for dummies books
Yes.
Yes.
for us third graders that
Yep.
I'm like
Cliff
and one of
notes.
the
Yes.
yeah and one of the myths that I always have a question is
Mhm.
lenders versus brokers versus um Penny Mac or Chase.
Yep.
Can you give me a little bit, because I went, and I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't like middlemen,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because I have been beaten in the University of Life. I have been beaten many times by
Yeah.
lack of both experiences of
Yeah, I
that
gotcha.
broker. So part of me not going because I thought that is this guy is a middleman. This guy is
Yep.
going to sell it because I'm an old dog that I can't. I just I don't know. I'm pretty sure you read it in your application, but part of my note that I hinted you said, please do not use any fear-based tactics.
Right. Yes.
Please, and you naturally, please. I'm too old. I have been scared enough
Yep.
not to be scared anymore.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is just a seller. So I do thank you for that. It was not based in anything that, because historically, like you explained, the market. I don't care if we cannot just base it. Oh, because I had a realtor that told me that, but you know what? But what about if it's the market crash like 2008? They said, well, it came back in 2000 and whatever, you
Exactly.
know?
Yep.
You know, but for those who don't know, because the process of buying a house is such an intimidating and
Yep.
stressful time,
Yeah.
you will go back and say no, 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 let me don't, you know. So you are very controlled by it.
Yep.
So
I
it's totally important,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't like fear. I don't like to be controlled. And so it's part of some of the ways that I've healed from trauma. And so when I see fear tactics or manipulation tactics, it pisses me off, to be quite frank. And so, like,
Hmm.
I like to break systems that hurt people and control people. And fear is the most utilized weapon in the world right now, especially because social media. And so that's where I break it down because I feel like if people give honest answers without the fear or worried about lack, then they are genuine. And so, like, I will never sell with fear. And I will always present information and then allow a person to make the decision because, like, with a bank, there's depositories. That's like your Chase Bank. That's where you're taking your money into a place and you're depositing it in that bank. And so they're lending their own specific niche products. It's like a box. And sometimes they have really low rates.
Hmm.
But that also means you're going to have to, if you don't fit in this little box, you're SOL. And so there are pros and cons to both. Then there are the mortgage banks. That's like, in essence, like PennyMac. We are considered a mortgage bank and broker option. And so that's where you want to see if there's a hybrid because there is no middleman on our side. We go right and we originate our own products, our own money. Does that mean I can't go get Chase? I can do a Chase loan right now. But
I would.
there's extra fees involved with that. And I will tell my clients that up front because I like to sleep at night. And so I'm like, do you have a relationship with Chase? Yes. This is what you need to tell them. Bring me back any numbers they have. But Chase will incentivize people like us because it's expensive to employ loan officers in their branches. And if you notice, a lot of their branches and like Bank of America, different ones are closing down their brick and mortars. And they only do drive-through ATM service. And so what they'll do is they'll go after companies like us and say, "Hey, we got a pool of money. Will you guys please help us close some
Hmm.
business?"
Hmm.
And that's why we're like, "Sure, we'll take the money." And there's different programs that don't have that extra like broker fee. And so that's where I'll show them like, here are your options. Here's what you want, and this is what it looks like. And so even PennyMac, when you go to directly to PennyMac, sometimes they'll sell their servicing to like Mr. Cooper or Nation Star or different companies here and there because the money for in on the back end, this is how you know and how to be a better informed consumer too, is knowing how the back end works. They are there to collect payments. And so they get paid in essence by the probability you're continuing to pay this debt for the next X amount of years.
Hmm.
And so it's like, I don't know if you ever played like street craps, but you can do side bets on the bet. And so like that's in essence what this is like a little like, hey, I want in on this action. I have a good feeling about this product. And so they'll get in and buy in because they know statistically most people, especially now, are going to refinance in the next X amount of time period.
Hmm.
And so that's where they're like, that's why there's points in a lot of different loans right now because they know the servicing value is nothing. Because if you're getting a deal at 7% rate, once rates drop to five, guess what? You're refinancing. But you have to be careful for nefarious loan officers who will churn your loan and try to convince you to refinance every half a point drop and rob your equity. I want to fight those people because I can make it sound finger guns like, oh, you're going to save this much and you're going to skip two payments. Bull. And because if you just watch the market, there's ways to do because they'll say it's free, but they actually roll in cost to your loan where you don't see it, you don't feel it, and now you just robbed your equity position. What if you're selling in the next 2 to 3 years? Now you just took from what you would have net and because you wanted a little bit of cash or save 200 bucks, 100 bucks a month. Well, what does that save you? There's supposed to be a net tangible benefit, but there's too many loan officers out there that are worried about a commission instead of actual like community. And that's where I get offended on that stuff. But that's kind of where it goes back to mortgage banker, broker. or if it's isolated in one. So a lot of times at mortgage banks and also brokers, they aren't actually licensed loan originators, they're registered loan officers. What that means is they're operating under the umbrella of a company like Rocket Mortgage, a lot of them, or those big 123.coms, they're employing people to operate under their main license. So they're not invested in their craft. They're just, in essence, glorified data, like like what do you call those big rooms? Call center reps. And they're not
Mhm.
they're just
Mhm.
clicking buttons. And so that's where you just got to interview them and you can find out real quick. When you ask them what is the bond market price and the coupon that this rate is attached to, and they're like, like I was cleaning my room. Like then you know that they don't know what they're doing. But I teach all my clients to ask the right questions because then that also builds trust. Because if they go to, hey, would you mind telling me this? And then the other person doesn't tell them or they can't back it up, are they really doing you the best service? Are they trying to convince you to use them with this flashy low rate without telling you that rate is tied to collateral, meaning you can't lock until you get under contract? So I could tell you the rate's 5% today, and then be like, oh, I'm so sorry, the market, blah, blah, blah. Weak sauce. So,
And one last
yeah.
one. I'm sorry. And one last thing is
No,
that the share touching on a few in terms of not because it happens to me and I'm sharing so
yes.
others. I come with multiple houses that we have purchased in the past in
Yep.
my history, and you stick to your team,
Yes.
but you still have to, and I'm telling myself, you still have to evaluate how competitive and in the trend of today's markets and creativities and up to date.
Yep.
You cannot just be loyal to be loyal because
Right.
this is not buying a new car. This is not buying
Yes.
a boat. This is buying your home
Yes.
and your investment.
Yep.
So hashtag don't just go.
Yes.
Well, say thank you, okay, but I I have to upgrade just like you upgrade the
Yep.
computer. I have to
Yes.
upgrade your system
Yes.
to a
Commodore
better way.
64 was cool.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting it in my head. Now I'm over here singing Beyonce.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
yeah.
But that's a part where like for Nichelle is somebody that I respect. That's why I send my parents to her because like she has a similar mindset to me as like Kaizen. It's like the being dedicated to the process of constant improvement. And for me, it's not a place of lack. It's a Japanese concept that in the 70s, the Toyota manufacturing process really stood out and they believe in that Kaizen mindset. It's constant improvement. And so when it's part of your life for the last, for me, 13 plus years of every day, I read my guidelines, I do this, I want to be the best for my clients every single time. And I'm open to criticism like, hey, what could I have done better? Because if I don't know what I could have done better, then I can't fix what is there. And when I've already refined your process, sometimes the biggest threat to future success is current success. And that's why I always ask when you, and you'll experience it as we go through. Hey, how are me and my team doing? Or how would you rate us not, on a scale of 1 to 10? If I'm not
Mhm.
getting tens, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What could I do?
What can I do? What can
And
I do?
because I want to get and refine systems even better, because I got proactive, all this stuff going and making sure clients are updated. But like this is a little tangent. I haven't taken my medicine, it's still sitting right here. But let me just show you this because now I'm on a little passion where I talk about the markets, right? This is gonna blow everybody's mind because this is what shatters the glass of exclusivity and like there's special rates out there for certain people. Every single mortgage company trades on the same stuff. It in when so that's why I say what bond market price and what coupon. Right now, most of everybody in the United States is trading on the UMBS 30-year 5.5% coupon. That's what this is. This is the coupon. The bond market price is 100.64 when market closed on Friday. Why this is important is this is the ticker. This has an inverse relationship, meaning the higher this number, the lower the rates. So if you called me at 10 o'clock and someone else at 2 o'clock, depending on where the bond market is, you're not getting apples to apples comparison. So somebody's rate might be lower than the other guy, even though the other guy is better, because but you called them at a different time. But if you ask them the bond market price, then you'll know, okay, I'm not getting an apples to apples comparison because normally during the week you'd see at different time periods the market's at different numbers. That's why you see this candlestick where it has up, down, so that it fluctuated throughout the day, but it ended up closing right here. I watch this stuff like a crazy hyperfixation because this is how I know how to control stuff and have lock strategy calls. And you see these lock alerts, but this is just a little bit behind the scenes so you can see some of this. And these are things that I'll go over each time, like as we get through the approval process to go over lock strategy. But like this shows you I can go up to max year to date 2 years, show you what the different changes when different things were announced, and then the crash, and then up. But this is what everybody's trading on. So when you see online rates, you got to look at little asterisks, go down the bottom and see what kind of extra razzle dazzle they added to this shiny thing to get you convinced that they got the lowest rate when everybody's the same. That in the reality, to help with shopping, almost because it's such a competitive industry, we are all within an eighth of a percent in rate. All of us have pretty close to the same closing costs. The biggest difference and the key question to ask, do you charge a flat fee to originate your mortgages or do you charge points? That is the only difference really truly between lenders. Obviously there's competency stuff too, but if you take away all that and you're just looking at numbers, every one of us are going to be close on rate. Every one of us are going to be close on numbers, give or take. If they charge points, it's usually between a half a point and 2 points to originate. Or they have a flat fee. I do a flat fee because I want to make sure that people aren't getting, because like if you have a flat fee, it's the same for everyone. You buying a $10 million house, it's a flat fee. What that does is it covers the underwriting, the processing, and the back end stuff, right? That's easy. Now you know, okay, Ron's, this is his fee, this is that fee. But the thing that gets scary is when people are charging points and they can manipulate that to change what APR looks like. And then once you're actually under contract, this is what builders do, and it pisses me off because they'll also show you numbers on unimproved values. That's a different seminar. But I just wanted to touch on some of this stuff to break the myths about rates and companies. Get with people that are along the ride with you and are growing with you and are on the same tracks because it's okay to diverge. If you're growing and they're not, it is what it is. Good luck. But that's where you got to earn that every call, every day, and be dedicated to that process. That's why I trust Nichelle. That's why she trusts me. And she knows I'm not going to try to convince you to not use your guy. When we were talking, Jamie, I was like, hey, tell your guy, ask
Absolutely.
him about DSCR.
Absolutely. And I think that's what migrated naturally
Mm-hmm.
to immediately fall into it was an aha moment.
Yes.
That we already did it with with our realtor, and then here in New York, based on the same, he has been working for us for so many years. But then it's
Yep.
just, but it's that approach that you could have, because we were emotionally vulnerable and we still are.
Yes.
You could have all the opportunity
Yep.
to eat our candies.
Yes.
And you truly just put it out there. Listen, I'm just going to give you the most education that I can so you can make an informed decision.
Yep.
And it's just similar. Listen, I have learned and I have purchased a few houses. Man, Michelle, I didn't know. I thought all real estate were all just like, and now I understand. As we have will say all nurses are nurses. No, you got certified nursing assistants. You have MAs. You have LPNs, but you don't have a fiduciary oath in a different process vetted as a registered nurse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's regulated and hold accountable in a
Yep.
different ethics and morals, and that you're obligated.
Yep.
So now I understand, their approach in terms of the differences. And I
Yep.
hope that many people see these seminars, because not only that you're going to get a free appraisal,
Yes.
but it is. Oh, I'll go to the next one because first of all, I'm here working, so I
Yeah.
got a consultation. But I got so many. Oh, I'm gonna chase you in all these seminars because there's just so many. And I hope that you bring us a VA loan seminar.
Yes, yes.
You
I've
know,
got VA ones. I've got doctor loan programs. We've got construction loan seminars. We've got different ones that we do throughout the year. So we'll keep you posted on all of them. And feel free to invite friends or people that you know
yes,
that
yeah,
might
because
help.
it's including myself. I did not know when I had my first house. I did not know that I could had another house. That's what I bought
Yep.
another house with the VA loan, and now
Yep.
I have these houses that I'm trying to sell. But it seems like like God, if he's going to sell or not based on the market, whatever, right? But
Yep.
I'm not worried. I'm not feared. I'm going to do what we got to do. But I did
Yes.
not know that I had a third option
Yep.
to
Yes.
do. I add another one.
Yes.
So those things, I'm telling you, in my veteran community, they don't even know how important is
Yep.
what better all the benefits of VA loan approach that is selective
Hmm.
to us who have served in the military. It
Yep.
gives you in terms of a streamline refinancing,
Yes.
protection, all it is so I'm please I'm gonna
It's going to
tag
be
you. In
exciting.
fact, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yep. And there's so many things that that's why we love this is giving back and earning that because again, we're small businesses. We're not out here spending millions of dollars to have a Super Bowl ad commercial. Like we're earning it every step of the way, one client at a time. And but you got to earn it. You don't just expect it. And it's kind of like dating. You don't just get married on the first conversation. You got to earn that relationship. You earn exclusivity, and then you can maintain exclusivity through consistency. And you got to see growth because if your partner at home isn't growing, they're regressing, they're not lining up, you're not going to be with them forever. And the same thing with your land and real estate partner. If they're not growing, if they're not adding value, if they're not doing the thing, it is your right to go on your separate ways. And and that's okay. And but that's where it's like I always know that there's opportunity to bring someone along or update and maybe they just were having an off day and then I want to compete against the best. So if they are I don't want to win just because somebody was handcuffed or wasn't aware of something. Let's fight for real. And so like that's the
Mhm.
thing. And it's like I don't want to I'm not gonna that's not a win for me. But it's gonna be awesome. And we're here to serve you guys and answer questions. It's just part of why we do this. Like if I was if I had struck the lottery and won $400 million, I'd still do this every day because I love it and even for free. Like I love this job. I love what I do. I love helping families. I love the impact to communities, and seeing people get their keys. It's huge.
And I'll follow with Ron on that one because I actually said that to God last night when I bought my lottery tickets that if He blessed me to win, I would still keep doing this, and I
Yep.
meant it, like 100% meant that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was just elevated a different level because so
Yep.
we're situation. After we went through and I was showing the virtual showings yesterday, my phone, I needed to, what time is it? I don't want to overtake us. Okay.
12:30.
Um, I needed to, there's no easy way to say this. Somehow I managed to use 128 gigabytes of memory on my phone. Um,
I don't even know what that means. It's a magic word, but that sounds a lot.
it is a lot. It is the size of the phone. And the average phone back in the day to give you an idea was like 16 to 32 gigabytes. My my my
AOL
phone had
style.
Yeah.
128.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when I was doing my showing yesterday, my phone stepped locking up on me, and I'm like,
Oh no.
I cannot. And if anyone knows anything about me, proficiency is like
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
brain will stop. If you're stopping me from a process, my brain will go into another level.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, you know what? I've got some time. I'm gonna stop at the Verizon store because I've been looking at
Yes.
my phone. I'm like, I need to go in, and I was gonna buy it online and just have them ship it to me. And that inner voice said, "Hey, won't you go into the store?"
Yeah.
And so I was in Frisco, and I went into Frisco, and I walked up to a guy, and I walked up to the stand. And when I walked in, I saw this guy, and this guy had this desolate look on his face, like
Aw.
he didn't like customer service. He didn't want to be there. He hated his job. Who
Mm.
does the supervisor give me to help me with my purchase?
Yeah.
Of course. I know.
Yes.
The story of our lives. I know.
Yeah.
and and at that moment, I had to exercise what I do with my clients. And what that is, sometimes my clients don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
And it requires me to not take offense to questioning,
Yep.
to not take offense to what they don't know, but to really think through that process. And the reason why I'm going to tell you this story is because how this story changes and what
Hmm.
Ron is talking about right now. And so he comes over and he's got his little tablet in his hand and he doesn't greet me. He doesn't say anything. He
Mhm.
goes, here are the phones we have. These are the four phones. This is this one, this is this one, this is this one, this is that one. And
Experimental.
I'm like, okay, so how's your day going? Fine. So you've been doing this long? Oh, wow. So you've been at this store a while? Yeah. I go, what's a while? He goes, just a while. Okay. At that moment, I have to make a decision. Am I going to allow his ineffectiveness as a customer service to change who I am?
Yeah.
Or am I going to move forward through this process? And I was like, you know what? Something's going on here. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but he's clearly not enjoying this day. And so we sit down and we started talking, and I keep asking him questions, probing questions, as he's still hasn't engaged really. He really hasn't greeted me yet. He hasn't even asked me my name.
Ah,
And so we get through the process, and about halfway through, I start talking to him, and he goes, so you saw that? I go, saw what? He goes, well, I go, when I walked in, you looked like this was the last place you wanted to be. I go, and your face told me not only was I not welcome, you didn't care if I was here if I wasn't here.
yeah.
He goes, you saw that? I go, I saw that. I go, call it my third eye, call it whatever you want to. It's just your expression was non-existent. He goes, I did not mean for you to see that. He goes, I'm tired of working for other people.
Yeah.
He goes, I've been doing this for 10 to 15 years, and I'm
Wow.
just tired of working for other people. I'm tired of having to make their money before I even make mine. I have to make them $6,000 a month before I even make my money. And he goes, I'm just exhausted. And he goes, I didn't mean for you to see that. I apologize for that, but I appreciate you being open enough and not taking that against me to ask me the questions that I needed to get me to where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Before that story was over, I knew what his game plan was. I was mentoring him through his process because he's planning to leave. And I walked out and he decided rather than having me pay off my phone, which I was prepared to do, was $300. He
Yeah.
got me a new line that I don't have to use, put my old line on my new phone, and I walked away with a $2,000 phone for nothing and an extra $15 a month
Hey. Yes.
in a free case. And the whole
That's
point of
awesome.
that is we're here to be your focal point and your guide. And we recognize that there may be times that you're frustrated. There may be times that you're overstimulated. But our goal really is to be every hat for you through that process
Yep.
to make this as easy as possible and what we do. And we do it from a place of heart to make sure because we know that we look at this every single day.
Yep.
You guys do this maybe 2 to 6 times in your entire life.
Yep.
Some people will only do it once or twice.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, you want to make sure that your team really does have a heart of service for this. And if you're not working with someone who has a heart of service, then I would highly recommend you find someone that does. If you unless you're that A type where you don't care about a heart of service, you just want someone to come in, you know what you're going to do, you don't care about what you're making and all that, then that's another option. But if this process really matters to you the way it does to us, make sure that they have a heart of service.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. It's huge. Good on you for being that kind to that guy. Hopefully he gets out of this that rat race and does it, trust himself to go and get his own money instead of someone else's.
And that's kind of what I told him. He goes, I keep praying to God, and I don't
Hmm.
want to take up too much. Just he goes, I keep praying to God and asking God to remove all these things from me that aren't working. I go, how about rather than praying for him to remove, why don't you pray for him the strength to get you to the other side? Because you asked for provisions, but you haven't stepped into it. I mean, but that's a whole
Exactly.
nother. I'm not going to go into that right now.
Yeah. No, that's
And and
huge.
and and, and, and let me validate one more thing that Michelle said, and it is so true because we met Michelle through the online trying to find a realtor, but she does call you when she needs you,
Yes.
when you need her. It's just like a friend that you'll be like, hey, I was just talking about you, man.
Yeah.
And we experienced that phenomenology
Yeah.
with her. And it has been and she didn't push Ron. She didn't push
Yeah.
Ron. She didn't push Ron. She did, hey.
Mm-mm.
But she did see that we were at our last about to throw the time. And I tell you, and I tell you,
Yeah.
we still walking on eggshells, and we still praying and look at our phone and see if it's hope. And I'm not trying to get it more because it's
It's emotional.
you gave us hope again.
Oh,
And this is saying it just for you to validate yourself because I've been a professor for many, many, many decades, and we don't need no awards, we don't need no medals. There's nothing better than a compliment of your client or region or
yeah.
genuine. It's a second wind, regardless where it goes.
Yep.
Regardless where it goes, regardless if we just gonna be in Frisco renting. I'm not scared of that either.
Yes.
I'm not trying to put pressure either.
Yeah.
But you gave us a second wind.
That's awesome. Yep.
And that is the team that you guys, and I'm hoping that you guys become viral in these stages, in this seminar, because people hear seminars and what is he going to sell me? Or what is is he going to prep me and then sell me a package to how to buy houses or how to
Yep.
flip them? Listen,
Yeah, exactly. $5,000. I'll teach you how to do this stuff.
I'm a PhD in the University of Life because
Yes.
I have failed so many courses and
Yep.
I get beaten by so many people.
Yes.
But I still hold a PhD.
Yep.
So these seminars are, I hope that you market it in a different way, that you
Yeah.
increase because they are so much needed, man.
Thank you so much.
And
It means
and
a lot to
and
us.
and your team, and it's not from I have been with many people, and
Yeah.
you got something. Like I told you, I'm all about my practice is relationship based.
Yep.
If I teach is relation based teaching.
Yes.
If I mentor is relationship based. If
Yeah.
I cannot establish that relationship,
Yep.
that trust, I myself will try to, hey, I can help you find somebody else.
Yep.
So I thank you
It's our
both, and I
pleasure.
hope that this will go viral and you get more people to watch these things, these videos, man.
Yeah.
And because number one, the seminars is that people be like, seminar, okay, what is he selling me?
Yep.
This is selling me.
We want to be the
So
change.
that's it.
Yep.
Thank you.
But we appreciate your time. Do you have any other questions for us before we let you go?
No, that's it,
Awesome.
man. Thank you so much. Let
Cool.
me get back to work. And one more thing, yes, I agree with you, Michelle, about the computer and the technology.
Yes.
It was, I did see your tap dancing and still not sure. We did not see much. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I'm retired and now working from home. Like I've never had this thing, right?
Yeah.
And I just realized that my computer system, and I have a beautiful setup that is about 13 years old. I
Yeah.
am about to throw this in the car. Like,
It's horrible. It's
listen,
horrible. I have
this is
to.
my wife.
The
This
it,
is horrible.
the
It's horrible.
computer
It's
kicked me
horrible.
out, so I'm on my iPhone. It's horrible. I love.
Same.
So,
It
so
happens every single time, and
I
I
might,
have an IT background. That's what was throwing me. Um,
I might go to you guys if I'm able to get a free computer. Thank you
yeah,
so
trust me,
much.
I felt every bit of that. I was like, "What is going on?" And I got confused for a moment because I knew I bought a new phone. And I hadn't set up everything, and I thought for a moment that it was the laptop. And I was like, "Wait a
No.
minute, I ain't buying a new laptop. Why is my laptop doing this? This doesn't make sense."
Yeah, it's awesome. And like the past experience so weird. Like I was in the trash business in Boston before being in mortgage. So like I had a different level of anything. I was like, I'll break everything in this room. I hate my computer.
So
Yes.
yeah, trust me. So I get it. But glad to hear your voice, Lenny, before we
Yes.
ended the call. Uh,
I appreciate everyone's
No,
time
no, no.
today. And
I'm not talking person like Jaime, but I'm always listening and I'm always learning on my quiet way,
I know.
and it's very informative. It's very interesting. And listen, even my computer tried to kick me out. I connected through my phone.
like, don't be rude, computer. I'm over here jealous about these gorgeous statues you got back there in your case. Like my
Oh,
ADHD, I still haven't taken my medicine, but those are
yeah,
amazing. What you got back
yeah.
there? Those are cool.
Those are original handmade Katrinas. It's a
Beautiful.
the date of the Dia de los Muertos, the
Yeah.
date of the death.
Yes.
They celebrate. It's one of the countries that I admire because they celebrate. It's death is like a birth. It's we all slowly marching. Yes, slowly
Right on my
marching
desk.
there.
Yes.
So and these are I'm still trying to see how we're going to transport them.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because
In
they
your
are
lap.
deep.
Yes,
That's how they came in from Mexico.
that's what I do. They're my babies.
I'm gonna recommend an insurance through UPS.
Yeah.
But you know
Ooh.
what? But you know what?
That's
Even this is something that not money
That's
can
right.
replace.
Like a
Even
baby, you
if
just
you
carry
tell
them.
me that I'll give you $50,000 if a break. I'm telling you, this is something. If you wait till you see it, you will see it because you're gonna help us buy a
I
house.
can't wait.
And I'm gonna we
so
claim this in the name of God.
the little
You're gonna
head
see
for
it.
the Katrina is like a it's like a little cube and it's connected to the body and it moves.
And it
Oh,
moves.
Aw.
Mhm.
It's small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I was seeing it back there. I was like distracted and in a good way because they're beautiful. Like I have a thing. It just amazing.
oh
Look at
wow.
her. Amazing. Beautiful. Stunning. I love it.
The
Ron, it looks
details,
like
the
one you
little
made.
things.
I know. I-
See?
Now I want to
And
make one like
homemade
that.
hand. Yeah.
I make them. I'll show you. I made one for
Oh
my fiance. I'm gonna
wow.
go get you one.
Yeah, he does painting, sculptures, and all types of little stuff with his hands.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Yeah, let me see if I can log in on my phone and I'll show you a.
So what phone do you have now?
I have the Samsung S26 Ultra.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't do Apple
Why not?
because I don't want to spend $1,500 to $2,000 for a phone and then you tell me what I can and cannot do with it.
Let me just show you what I made for my wife.
That's a problem for me.
Get
That's
this.
funny.
I mean, in all honesty, that's all it is. It's like why am I if I've got it because Apple closes their systems.
Oh
There's one he made.
I
wow.
made that for my wife. Isn't that pretty? It's
Wow.
got a little box in the back.
Oh my God, that's very
That
nice.
Yeah,
It's like
I
a La
made that for
Santa
her.
Muerte. Yeah,
Yeah,
La Santa
it's
Muerte,
La Santa
huh? La Santa
Muerte.
Muerte.
yeah, I made it for my wife. I make them.
Wow,
Wow.
I've made a few of them for different people around the world. But yeah,
very nice.
So you appreciate the how it's made because this work just like if you made it.
yes. But that
Each
is
the ones that
elite.
we have is unique.
Yes,
They're not two of them. They're not
they're
I
babies.
don't
Yeah.
they babies,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
babies.
So
No, it's so gorgeous.
this is the frame that Ron made for me, and I'm gonna get close up on it.
Oh my
Yeah, I carved
God,
it.
that's beautiful.
Oh man,
Like
I'm gonna have
I
to
got the properties paper from Egypt. I got the properties paper from Egypt, but this is the frame that he made.
Yeah, I made an Ouroboros. I
Come
carved it out
over.
of wood.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. I gotta take my son to
all
All right,
right,
the
go ahead.
doctor's
I gotta get back
appointment.
and I gotta get back to work. I gotta make money.
Yes. Well, you guys do your thing. I'll finally take my medicine, be on focus for the rest of the day.
You hang for a minute.
Let me, yeah, I can have for a minute.
Ron, can you hang back for a minute?
And my brother, I have the same. I see you. I see you.
Yes, I got you.
I think that's how we connect, the same energy, the same.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, you guys.
Bye.
All right, have a good one.
All right,
Bye.
Ron, you're gonna stay back for a sec so we can try and finally get this done if you got a minute.
Yep, I got you a minute. All right,
Okay.
bye, you guys. I'll stay back,
Bye.
Michelle. Let me stop the recording.
Okay.
All right.